Welcome back to Tales of Praxis, everyone. My name is Aaron Suduko. I'm the founder of With the Terrible Fate. My webcam is not behaving itself super well. I think that's a little better. We took Wednesday off. Sorry to have missed you. It was one of those days on one of those weeks, which is also a little bit of why I'm late today. Just crazy week and crazy weather. I think the cosmos is just a little crazy right now because it was 77 degrees here in Colorado yesterday, and today it has been snowing, so don't know what that spells for the world, but probably nothing too great. I'm thinking this will be the last stream of Tales of Symphonia. We'll see how far we get, but really there are a few more side quests to go through to wrap things up, get some more costumes, things like that. And then there are a few more, let's say, challenging pieces of endgame content, like that fight with Abyssion, for which we were delightfully unprepared last time, so gonna see how far we can get through that stuff. But if we end up not getting to it, we can always return to it later if we really want to. But next week, I'm thinking I'll be starting with the sequel, Tales of Symphonia 2, Dawn of the New World, which, unlike Tales of Symphonia, I only played one time right when it came out, so I don't have anywhere near as close to a good memory of that as I did with Tales of Symphonia. Hey, Chrissy, welcome back. Good to see you. Yeah, for your benefit, I was just saying, pretty sure this wonderful Friday evening we have ahead of us will be the last Tales of Symphonia stream, unless we really want to revisit it later on. I'm going to start fresh this coming week with the sequel, so we can look forward to that on the same schedule. But for now, I was going to be a very mature grown-up and forsake the optional super boss who was giving me so much trouble. And we're going to go questing for a few more titles and costumes and smaller side quest scenes and work our way back up to the challenge content tonight. Thank you, I'm excited. I'm almost more excited for the sequel precisely because I don't remember it as well. So it'll be nice to go back to it with fresh eyes and with Tales of Symphonia fresh in my mind. I was late too because I was in the middle of finishing a thought in this never-ending draft of this piece I've been talking about regarding Tales of the Abyss for the last few weeks, so that is coming along and will hopefully manifest in the next couple of weeks. But you know, the first article that I did in this series was probably about 2,000 words, reflecting on a single moment of Tales of Symphonia, and this piece on Tales of the Abyss very accidentally ended up being much more of my standard fare in terms of probably clocking in at over 10k words and just having a lot more theoretical considerations to handle, so hopefully it'll be worth the wait, but definitely different than the once a week series that I was anticipating. No, you're good. I mean, I'm sorry that your PhD is rough at the moment, but actually your timing couldn't have been better because we ended up calling Wednesday a bye. I didn't stream because my life was also kind of, to use your wording, pretty rough in the middle of the week. Not in terms of anything to worry about, but just too much to manage streaming on a Wednesday. So I figured better to, especially since we're just working through the side quests, to winnow it down to twice a week to round out Tales of Symphonia and then dive into the sequel on Monday. So you missed literally nothing. Alright. We're going back to Maltokyo Castle for the next side quest. It was lucky. No, let's just call it lucky. Like I said, I appreciate the concern, but nothing to be concerned about, just purely one of those weeks when everything was a little busier than it needed to be, so sometimes self-care and giving yourself a free night is more important than the regular streaming. Not that the streaming wasn't missed. I deeply I missed this time and this long long-lasting story together, so it's nice to be back at it. But nice to have a break, too. Alright, we're looking for some maids. Oh, actually, I think we're supposed to be in Meltokio Castle proper for this. This is a costume for Colette, our favorite character. I'm going to try to be a little more conscientious about staying on the text boxes slightly longer so that we don't have that issue anymore. So thank you for bringing that to my attention too, Chrissy. Also, if my mic is picking up the incessant squeaking in the background, I apologize on behalf of my four-legged furry dog daughter and her favorite toy in the world, her yellow squeaky bone. Introducing the clumsiest maid in the world! As advertised. I like that this isn't even a mini-game, as if there's no possible permutation of this world in which Colette could possibly succeed at this kind of task. I'm doing my job! I'm very good at my job! Harsh. Maybe accurate, but harsh. Clumsiness turns out to be skillful means, as we've seen throughout the game. From the chosen one to the chosen maid. Talk about a character arc. She's consistent though, always putting others before herself. Arguably to a fault, as we have argued throughout this stream. And I also fell down a lot. Alright. See how easy that was to check off? And I didn't even die and have to reset the game like with our boy Abyssion last time. Not that I'm bitter at all. Okay, the next side quest is actually right here in Meltokio. The ordering of them actually worked out for once. But in the other pole of Meltokio, the slums as opposed to the castle. Also, why is your name Vice? Talk about pulling from different traditions and name origins. Oh, I absolutely will pass that on. Thank you for mentioning that. He's just starting out, as you probably know, so I'm sure he will be absolutely tickled by that. Oh, actually, I don't think he'll mind me plugging this on the stream. I also, beyond advertising the site, one way that I am doing my level-headed, albeit meager best to help it grow is I'm going to be contributing an article to it, which is slated to come out this coming month. So I will be talking about something that is not video games. It's still game-related, so don't worry, it's not too far afield. But if you love With the Terrible Fate and you're interested in what he's about, and there'll be something fun to look forward to this coming month. Non-human life form. That sounds about as creepy as humanoid cat. Go to the item shop. Yeah, I meant to ask, does my mic sound any better? I got this, this noise isolator for it to try to improve its quality a little bit without actually making a big upgrade in the microphone itself, but I don't know if it makes that much of a difference, to be honest. Yeah, you'll get there eventually. Some games, it's a long arc to finishing them, for one reason or another. God knows I've been there. If I suck it up and go back to Zillia for the third time, I'll be very directly there, maybe even on stream. Thank you. We're aiming actually for perfect as opposed to fine, but I'll take the fine. It's a step in the right direction. Probably be better without the ambient barking though, right? Okay, now we go to Silverhunt, because that's where Cat's Village is. Where we we did not go yet because it was not especially high on my list of optional content. But it's part and parcel of the Tales series, so we gotta embrace it all the same. Okay, I appreciate that. As long as it's, you know, small incremental improvements in the right direction week over week, that's all we can ask for in the stream and all we can ask for in life, am I right? One step at a time. Alright. To, I think, the most northern point in the world. Not that it's a particularly momentous thing to have at that point in the world in this particular game. It is remarkable. Cat's mittens. Oh, finally! Just what we've been saving our money for! And all the seafood you could imagine. As you would hope from cats. I suppose. Yeah, so it's a whole little optional town for their, like, sideshow anthropomorphic species. They're almost like Easter eggy style towns. They do them in the other games too. Although, what they did, which is either more or less kitschy, I guess, depending on whom you ask or how you look at it, in at least some of the later games, like Tales of the Abyss, and I think Tales of Vesperia too, was, they turned it into, like, an inside joke on the series and the developer itself, because they started calling it Namco Banda Isle, which is like a very loose pun on Bandai Namco, or Namco Bandai. So this is, like, I think the least meta that this kind of bonus kitschy village gets, at least you could put it that way. I wonder if 84.8%, if that's like, or maybe the number of treasure chests we've opened? Completion towards something. Yeah, it's a good way of injecting a different kind of fun into the game, at least. Here's the element. And, like, talk about thematic consistency, right? In a throwaway joke town about cats, tying it right into everything else about discrimination and subordinating species for the advancement of your own. Like, it's all connected, even in the places where you were least expecting it. See? Even Zelos recognizes the connections. So, Genis, the half-elf, who, probably besides Mythos, most adamantly resents humans in terms of main characters for that, is now, like, posing as the race persecuted against the cats in order to make the oppressor who had an affinity for them that was kind of misguided feel better in his time of need. That is, again, especially for a joke side quest like this, I think pretty nuanced and interesting. Strange and yet consistent, right? Or maybe if you don't want to say consistent, like thematically consonant, at least. But yes, this is the other side of JRPG fantasy world. Alright, back to Meltdoria. Yeah, well, it's all relative, right? Like, yeah, anthropomorphic cats are weird, but you gotta put it against the sliding scale of the Moogle in Final Fantasy, right? And at least, unlike, I don't know, Final Fantasy 13-2, the cats don't play an inexplicable yet central role in the core narrative so that you're forced to confront them throughout every context in the game. I definitely have mixed feelings about the small, cute, furry races in JRPGs generally, though. Like, one of my core and consistent gripes about the Xenoblade Chronicles series is their small, furry, cute race, the Napon, because they are almost always there for like sideshow or comedic effect, but they end up, despite that, worming their way like much deeper than at least someone like me would hope into the main story, and it can become like tonally distracting for me. Although that was one of the things that really impressed me about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was they didn't do away with the Napon, but they kind of had, I think, a much defter hands than their predecessors in terms of like weaving them into the story and party, but in a role where they're almost cast very intentionally and thoughtfully as onlookers. So they're there and they're bearing witness and they're kind of guiding some events, but in a way that is much more in keeping with, I think, the overall place that they're best disposed to occupy in the series. Oh, Lightning Returns. Don't even get me started on Lightning Returns. That's one that I've wanted to go back to just because at the time I found there to be literally no redeeming qualities to it, which strikes me now as probably too severe a judgment to level against any game. And the second one, Final Fantasy 13-2, like we've talked about before, is like, I think, bad in interesting ways, and I've spent a lot of analytical energy on that, especially for a game that is like not the most compelling to me, so I almost want to go back to the third one just for that context and sort of the weird, unexpected role it's occupied in my life in the years since. Okay, Vivi was cute, but would you characterize the, are they just called replicas in Final Fantasy IX? Is that the keyword for Vivi's race? I think it's either replicas or something else. I might just be thinking of replicas because I've been doing so much Tales of the Abyss and there are replicas in that. But, like, I get that Vivi's cute, but I would not call that race, like, a cute race in terms of the trope in JRPGs, you know? Because they're, like... The story of Final Fantasy IX in so many ways is about them, right? And I think cute race in JRPG is so oftentimes tied to the idea of, like, sideshow, like a jester almost or something. No. How can you not keep up with the very easy and intuitive naming conventions of Final Fantasy? He asked, totally sarcastically. No, it goes, as would be obvious, Final Fantasy 13, then Final Fantasy 13-2, and then Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns is the third one. So, good luck even knowing the right order in which to play those games, but that is the order in which they progress. Yeah, no, Vivi's a cutie. Which almost makes the very deeply relatable and human existential angst that he goes through all the sadder and more painful. Vivi, I have every feeling for that little guy. Well, let me just say, if you thought that 13 was bad, it's almost worth going through the other two for the jokes because, like, in my opinion, it only gets worse. Worse in 13-2 in a sad way because, like, my whole thesis about that game, which I've written about on With a Terrible Fate, and I'll try to remember to link the article, is, like, it's a really compelling and moving story that is, like, trapped and wrapped within a bad story that doesn't want to tell the good story. So it's like, that's what I mean when I say bad in an interesting way, right? Because there's so much of it that could be good were it represented differently, but it's not, right? And then Lightning Returns, I mean, don't get me started. If you didn't read or haven't read recently my original work on Majora's Mask, the very first thing I ever wrote for that series, and I don't know if it holds up, I don't think it does, I haven't read it in a long time, but I started off analyzing Majora's Mask through an article saying, hey, Majora's Mask is interesting because it makes a lot of the same choices that this very recent game, Lightning Returns, does, but it does them well, whereas Lightning Returns sort of turns it on its head and just makes the game frustrating through pretty similar mechanics. Are you asking about, like, the good story nested within Final Fantasy 13-2? Is that your question? Yeah, I think I think the story that's a compelling one inside of 13-2 is compelling exactly because it's not really tied down in the broader, like, lore of the Final Fantasy 13 universe. It's very much like kind of just a tragic sort of romance and story of friendship between basically this girl who's like she's a seer in, like, the prophetic sense, so she sees into the future, but then all these things happen that basically change the future, and every time the future changes, like, her perspective on the future changes, and that also causes her life to shorten. So she, like, constantly dies and is reborn, but she has these like, bodyguards whose job it is to protect her, and the one who ends up basically being the main villain of that game is, like, he's basically just become so bitter to the point that he wants to literally kill the goddess of time just to, like, save this seer's life and prevent her from dying over and over again, which is, like, I think a very touching and thoughtful story, and the way that the characters are written is just very authentic and earned. There's some great voice acting. The main villain is voiced by one of my favorite voice actors, Liam O'Brien, but everything I just told you is, like, nestled very deep within a very complicated, broader narrative that, like, has nothing to do with it, and that is focalized around characters who aren't invested in that story. So it makes it hard to kind of get the buy-in or actually appreciate that story for what it is. Yeah, I don't know how to fix the delay at this point, because I turned off slow chat, so I genuinely don't know if there's a way to make it even more real time, but I can look into the settings after this for sure. I actually do rate, what? I lost the thread of what you were talking about. Sorry, yeah, you're right. I agree with you that there's too much of a delay. I don't know how to fix it. Oh yeah, I mean, and that's something that I've really tried to get better about, just as I've gotten older, and it's gotten easier for me to do as I've gotten older too. Just like trying to take a step back from my direct experience with the game and saying like, well, for any story, right? Like the people who created this, you know, they were trying to express something really important and meaningful with it and create a certain kind of world. So I kind of always think there's at least something interesting to say about a story in terms of like what it is that it's trying to do. And I think few and far between is the story that succeeds or fails in purely disinteresting ways. So I think it's like much more interesting to me if you're really drawn into something, whether it's because you like it or don't like it, to just critically ask yourself, why is that the case, and what lessons can I take from that, and why is that interesting, right? I mean, this is something that yeah, that's the right representation of my article about 13.2, what you posted in the chat there. And yeah, I mean, that's actually, this is good timing for talking about this because, like I mentioned, I think a few streams ago, like the sequel to Tales of Symphonia is broadly panned in terms of the fan reception. Like, fans of the original do not have a lot of love, generally speaking, for the sequel. But as much as I was in that camp of not loving it the first time I played it, it made such unusual and interesting choices that like I was struggling to wrap my head around even as I was playing it, that I think even while it frustrated me at the time, like those design choices and that story have stayed with me, and I've thought about them in subsequent years much more so than many other games that I felt like I enjoyed more at the time but weren't as impactful, I guess. Didn't make as much of an impression on me. See, it's like, it's a whole little short story of the world that Genis wants to create. Now he's trying to be different than Mythos. Wrapped in such a weird package, but so touching all the same. Oh, and there's a ghost involved? I forgot that this quest had even more levels. I think that's the only window we get into the game of ghosts, too. Like, there would be no reason to suppose that ghosts exist in this universe without that experience of one. And Genis uniquely being able to see him. Well, Genis and Noah, I guess. Like, we have the similar idea of spirits persisting inside X-spheres, but that's kind of different than a straight-up ghost. Chibi! Great name for a dog. Alright. Another one down. Back to Asgard next. To get a title for the other sage, Genis' sister. Okay. Asgard is to the east, if memory serves. Oh, look at that. Remembered exactly which dot it was. Oh. There we go. Noishe. This was the one who, if memory serves, was supposed to do the ritual sacrificing herself to the fake summon spirit of wind before Rain stepped in. Rain gives an encore. This is a nice thing, too, that I wish more games like JRPGs with really long stories and campaigns did. Like, there's so much content and so many events to keep track of. It can be really nice like this to have a reason at the end of the game to just sort of nostalgically look back on something that happened way earlier in the game. The world was smaller and simpler back then, when Rain first did that ritual. Alright, where to next? Mizuho, I think, is next. It depends. I was hoping, like we talked about way earlier in the game, that we would have an opportunity to have a rematch against Kuchinawa in that one-on-one duel between him and Sheena for the honor of the village and, you know, clearing her name after everything that happened with Bolton, yada yada yada. But I was looking online and it seems like the consensus is you're not able to have that rematch, so we'll find out. Yeah, I love Rain too. I feel like for whatever reason, I didn't give her a lot of the spotlight in this stream that we did, but she was always one of my favorite characters when I played it back in the day. I think she has a subtle but really satisfying arc in terms of being a teacher, yet also a person, and kind of guiding Lloyd on his development at the same time that she's wrestling with and figuring out her own past and her relationship with her brother and everything. She's never really directly in the spotlight herself, but I think she undergoes a tremendous amount of growth over the course of the story. Not the forest, the village. We're going to the village. Yeah, so based on what I was reading in the guides, I guess this means that we're not going to get to have a rematch with Kuchinawa, but you know, that's okay, because honestly, in terms of everything his character was going through, I feel like he needed the win over Sheena anyway to work through his own shit. I swear to God, I really think that's the first time that I lost to him. Because I spent so much time beefing up characters back in the day. And, you know, by the third or fourth playthrough, I knew the game and everything to get like the back of my hand. Well, we can go back there and see if there's any dialogue that we missed. But yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting kind of jumping off point for a JRPG story, right? Just the environment of, okay, here's this little village where basically the whole purpose, as best we can tell, is like raising the chosen of mana for the journey of regeneration, and, you know, the temple of Martel, I think is what it's called, but the place where like she receives the oracle is right there, so it's kind of like a little church town in terms of being, you know, entirely built up around this religion and in service of that. An interesting sort of place in which to grow up. Oh man. The more we learn about Sheena, the more layers of her guilt we uncover over that first failed pact. This kind of reminds me, just because Dan's been talking about Pokemon so much, so it's fresh in my head, but these sorts of side quests that we're doing tonight remind me a bit of like the Pokemon postgame, where you go back to all of the gyms that you've already beaten and you revisit them kind of with your, you know, new party and have like a rematch with the gym leader, or do something else as a kind of encore. The way in which we're returning to all of these old places and kind of adding these codas to, you know, character development plot lines or the themes of the game, I think strikes a really similar chord with me. One that I quite like. That's what Igagori was saying. I guess we want to go up to where Volta actually was.
Not much of a step. New power. Rising foe. I was just warming up.
Oh, so not a ghost per se, but maybe, what, astral projection? Or we're getting all sorts of other metaphysical representations of people now that we're getting into the side quests. This is what you miss out on, so much of the world and just the nature of it if you overlook the optional content. I'm glad we're taking the time to do this stuff. I waited so long for you to summon me just to dismiss me immediately. That's what I said. Oh, okay, so they do still explain these alternative forms in terms of X-spheres, though. Which makes me wonder then, alright, is there a similar explanation for ghosts? Don't know if the game gives us an answer. I'm gonna be a ghost from now on! I'll trick little half-elves into putting on cat costumes. Chance to talk to everyone. I love it. Man. Talk about the real ghost who still haunts them. Or Alicia. Oh, and Persea and Regal are both thinking about Alicia. Could I be more devastated? Jesus. Oh no! How was I supposed to know that Regal would, that Zelos would trigger Lloyd going to bed? Or I wonder if that was one of the ones like some of the other costume side quests we've done where you can only talk to a certain number of people as opposed to talking to them all. Wish there were a way to tell. Awesome way to wrap up her arc, right? Going all the way from being disgraced within her own village, thanks to everything that happened with Vold, to trying to assassinate the Chosen, to not only helping to save both worlds, but also becoming the chief of her village. It's such satisfying redemption for me. Love that arc so much. And an outfit that actually covers Sheena's chest. How about that? They do exist, guys. You just have to go through the whole game and story to earn it. Okay, where to next? Altamira. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've kind of been sort of rethinking that myself these days, though. Like, Xenoblade optional content was one of the big 3 pillars of my lecture that I gave at PAX East a few weeks ago. And I think there is, like, a really interesting kind of storytelling that video games can get away with when they make something optional, not because it matters less, but because the impact of it is uniquely dependent on the player having to like make an extra effort to go out of her way to find it. And so I don't know if I would necessarily class that Sheena side quest as one of those things, but I do feel like it's all the more rewarding that it's not something that just happens, but you have to go out of your way first to have Sheena even have the duel with Kuchinawa, because that's optional. You don't actually have to do that. And then after that to, return to the village and basically give her a chance to rectify things and make things right. And it's exactly your desire to do that that makes it possible for her to become the next chief. So I know what you mean, but I kind of see both sides to it, at least. Because it's a shame if players miss it, but if you care enough about the game even to like look up the side content, I think having to make that extra effort really makes it all the more rewarding and thematically meaningful. This isn't even the quest I was trying to trigger. I don't think. But there you go. Sometimes you never know. I wonder if we go up to the top floor of the hotel now, if we can get into the deluxe suite. Maybe there's something special in there. I would love to hear your thoughts if you do end up watching it. I'll tell you, it was pretty nuts to put it all together, because despite all the work that I'd done on the games and the series, I basically wrote that from scratch because I wanted to give something new to the people who are familiar with my work and just kind of wrap the series in a different theoretical lens. So it was really fun to do and to talk about people there, so I hope it's fun for you to watch too, or at least that it gives you some good food for thought. Well, if they make us stay in the hotel, I'm not going to bother to do that. Let's prioritize the side quest that we were looking for in the first place. Man, after we're done with Symphonia, I'm gonna have to dust off and break out my old Wii. Because the sequel came out on the Wii. It's been a minute since I've played anything on that. Thankfully, to the best of my recollection, it's one of those beautiful Wii games like the original Xenoblade Chronicles that does not avail itself of the motion controls very much, if at all. So, I'm very okay with that. I hope it still works. I should probably playtest that before I commit to the stream. That's my weekend project. There you go. That and taxes. If your shipment doesn't show up, use the resources you have on hand. That's the kind of business acumen on which Regal built his empire. Got that, folks? The keyword is Wahoo. Wahoo! Sorry, I should have done the Presea voice. I don't know if that can even approximate my the accuracy of my Shadow impersonation, but I think my best Presea for that reading would be Wahoo. It's okay, you get the gist. Oh god, you can't stop. Loopledoo! Save me! It's a legally binding covenant that we enter into with our parks workers. Dream Traveler. I wonder if Klonoa is like a character from something else or something that they invented for this. I could see it going either way. I don't have it from my collection. The legendary Klonoa that traveled to the moon and the world of Four Bells. Well, that sounds like it's like a figure from mythology, like so many other things in this game. We'll have to look it up. Yeah, that's true. But I feel like if you're going to do an impression of Presea, like something that's recognizable, that's kind of the era of Presea you have to go for. Unless you have a really deft hand like her actual voice actress, which I'm not even going to attempt. Oh, Regal. Man, I just want to give you a hug, dude. That's such a sad title with such a needlessly glib description of the trophy that comes with earning that many titles. Like, talk about narrative dissonance. Look at his abs. His sinful, sad abs. It's another parallelism between Regal and Presea. Regal can't get her time back, and Regal's assassination, or execution, I guess you could say, of Varley won't get Alicia back. All either of them can do is walk on, right? Into the new world. Alright. Well, I guess we should spend the night in the hotel just to see if there's anything special about that deluxe suite. You know it. He's getting the fancy room! That's a BoJack reference for the uncultured amongst you viewers who didn't get it right away. Oh yeah, so we do get a scene after all. Oh, another special one-on-one scene? With Regal, perhaps? Ah, Colette. I was looking for Regal, actually. It's pretty cold outside, Colette. You should just go to bed. Oh, Lord. Just crack one book. It would help. Is she gonna say it? Is she gonna say it? Ah, not that kind of JRPG. Almost. It's a fun thing to track in this overall series too, in terms of the different tapestry that the games weave as a whole. It's like the individual entries take very different stances in terms of how much of a romance they are. Like there are some games which are very much proper, you know, like love stories in between two characters through and through, and then there are others that are more, I guess you might call them traditional JRPGs like this, where there are, you know, different relationships you can nurture, and there are implied themes of attraction or romance between the characters, but it's very much left to the sidelines as opposed to the main content of the story. Alright, where are we off to next? Hot Springs. Okay, I spent a little time last stream talking about the trope of the hot springs, and then we didn't get to it. But we can fix that now, hopefully. Yeah, but, you know, the stories that are coy about it makes you appreciate the stories that are explicit about it all the more. You gotta have the full palette of options to really appreciate the richness of each individual one, right? Much like, Lloyd and Colette were talking about, and we've been talking about throughout the stream in terms of the mutual support and various reinforcing facets of all the relationships between the main characters here. Give me the whole rainbow. No. I swear, these controls, too sensitive sometimes. Introducing the Holy Hot Springs. It's funny, I don't think, at least in my memory, I've ever been to a natural hot spring like this, but I think just the sheer volume of them I've experienced in video games mostly has made me really want to go and actually enjoy this kind of relaxation at some point in my real-world life. It seems very soothing, and I'm a big fan of hot baths. Oh man, yeah, if you go, you have to pass along your review to me. That's one of the things I was really sad to miss the one time I went to Japan. But notice you don't really try a hot spring or natural spring unless you're in a party of 8 that is full of sexual tension between the characters. So those are prerequisites. At least if JRPGs taught me the truth. Why would they lie to me? They're perfectly realistic, right? Oh no. Zelos has an idea? What's the over-under on it being a lewd idea? Stop trying to pull me back into Persona 5. Do you understand the quantity of JRPGs I've committed myself to playing already? And then also we're going to turn around in like, I don't know, 45 days or something ridiculous, and Final Fantasy 16 will be out. But I know. I have much appreciation for P5. I know I have to get back to it too. I'll get back to it when you get back to it. How about that? What an existential way in which to appreciate a hot spring rain. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just complaining about the numeracy of good stories out there to enjoy. I'm assuming this is literally how women talk to each other in a hot spring also, because, again, everything I learned about social interaction, I learned from JRPGs. Title-based storytelling, ladies and gentlemen. A close cousin of trophy-based storytelling, which I've written about before. It's a joke. We love jokes. Come on. Lloyd, the true sin eater, bearing the burden of Zelos' crimes. Oh. How the mighty have fallen. Lloyd, you flew too close to the sun, as represented by the flaming hair of Zelos. Are they costume titles, or, no? Thought maybe they would give you the option to have the party going around in towels. Sometimes that's a thing. Yes, truly of all the party members, Lloyd has the most terrible fate. Oh, 100%. It's talk about the full spectrum of experiences, right? Like I was just saying, everything from like the pain and agony and importance of saving the world and all of the like the self-sacrifice that the characters made in that one adventure through the Tower of Salvation, all the way to the other extreme of just purely spending time with each other and relaxing. Which is why I think it's also nice to spend the time in the optional content and just exploring and living in the world, right? It really comes to feel more filled out because you get to enjoy experiences with the characters that are not all geared towards saving the world, but actually things like developing their relationships and getting to know each other better, and so it almost becomes more believable that they would band together to save the world in the way that the main plot describes. Which I think is also one of the reasons that like a New Game Plus run of this game can almost be more thematically rewarding and plausible than your first playthrough of it, because you understand the relationships and have explored all of those extra optional nuances all the more. Heimdall is next. Oh, nice that it gives you a quick jump. I didn't remember that. Alright, couple things to do here. We get to learn more about Lloyd's dog, Noishe. The other furry friend of the game, whom we haven't seen in a while. Listen, I don't know what the word sweet means. You're asking me what a protozoan is? The progenitor of other animals, if you will. Protozoans, gotta evolve them all. No, I can't start the Pokemon jokes already because, for reasons that will become very quickly apparent, we're gonna have too many of those during the Tales of Symphonia sequel starting next week. They have motivated me to want to play the games, which is to say, no, I haven't started actually playing them in earnest yet, although I do want to go back to Violet for the DLC, which is out. It's funny, I saw it announced, and then I think I totally missed it actually coming out, but I think it's out now. So I do want to do that. And honestly, I feel like thinking more about Pokemon has almost more inspired me to go back to Arceus, because that was much more my speed than the typical Pokemon game, rather than playing a lot of the OG ones. But yeah, for sure. I mean, the more he talks about them and sort of the way they tell their stories, the more I want to dive into it just to be able to appreciate that for myself. I feel like that's what any good game analysis hopefully does, right? If for no other reason you want to play the game it's talking about, just to be able to see it through the analyst's eyes. That's what we try to do with it on With a Terrible Fate, at least. So fine, Noishe isn't quite a dog after all. More like a legendary primordial creature that will ultimately become a human who fights evil. But come on, it's a JRPG. We all saw that coming, right? Yeah, I mean, Dan, as you know, if you've been listening to his series, his favorite is Gold and Silver, as I understand it, that generation. So I feel like if I were to start, I would probably start there. Though I don't know. I mean, talk to someone who likes Gold or Silver like Dan, and so much of it seems to be the way in which it's responsive to Red and Blue. So, and then I start feeling like, oh, now I have all this homework. Like, I've got to play the first one before I can play that. And I'm fine with that. But again, let me show you my giant stack of JRPGs that I'm working through. But I gotta rotate some more like non-JRPG games into the mix for my own sanity anyway, so that might be a good like bedtime game of the kind we were talking about a few weeks ago. Listen, I have a corgi. Strange looking for a dog is relative. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm never gonna remember that. Please don't try. Kinda wish they had spent more time in that reflection learning about Noishe, of like reflecting on the fact that he is allegedly going to evolve into a human that will fight evil, because I feel like that is a much cooler revelation than just the fact that he is not a dog. Or maybe that's just me. Signalis? Yeah, Signalis. No, never heard of it. Pitch it to me. Give me the back of the box. Well, I go to the eastern side of Heimdall, which I believe is where we will get a spell for Genis I mentioned a while ago. Yes! Here we go. This is one of those things I remember from being a kid because I would always do it, because I would always main Genis in my party back then, and this is, by pretty much any account, the best spell in the game. Or one of them, at least, I guess. I forgot what a short temper Genis has by the end of the game. I do love all of those words in that combination. Is it recent? Is it old? Is it made by anyone I would know who's made other stuff? will have to look into it. Signals. Too many games. I should really just have like a notepad open for taking down recommended games during these streams. I feel like I've already lost a number of the names that have flipped through the chat from qualified recommenders such as yourself. Wow, those are some big sources from which to draw inspiration. Can't think of the last game I played that felt Kubrick inspired, especially. That's an unusual one, I feel like, in the video game medium. Meteor storm. That delightful onslaught of meteors that Abyssion was absolutely abusing us with last time, if you recall. It's an interesting thing to say when you learn the spell of ultimate destruction. I'll use this to regenerate the land. But I guess it's like the energies of war directed towards positive and lasting change as opposed to more divisiveness, which again juxtaposes him against Mythos. If only there were a way to have that duel and learn that secret art. But alas, the duel can't happen until the game is already concluded. Yeah, I've never ever heard of Rose Engine. But now I have, so there you go. I'll have to check that out. I haven't played a good horror game in a while. Although, speaking of things coming out soon, besides Final Fantasy XVI and obviously Tears of the Kingdom, I am so excited for the next Amnesia game. The Bunker, I think is what it's called. Oh man, they absolutely killed it with Rebirth, and I am still bullying people because not enough people played Amnesia Rebirth, so everyone who's watching this should, at some point. Really thoughtful and cool video game storytelling and horror, but Frictional is the name of that studio, and they do such cool things with horror and with video game storytelling more broadly, so I can't wait to see what they try with The Bunker. It looks really cool. Alright, well, we are through with all of the little scene side quests that I could think of and find, besides a couple that open up once you get to higher levels. We need to be higher levels, I think, to have a shot at Abyssion, too. So what I'm going to do is, we talked in the run-up to Mythos, the final boss, about how that last area is like an optional challenge dungeon with a bunch of extra stuff. So we're going to go back and do that, because doing that will also open the path to a bonus post-game dungeon if we decide we want to try that out. And going back through that area with all the angels will hopefully help us grind up some levels so that we can have another shot against Abyssion. So let's do that. Oh, no kidding. The first one is in The Dark Descent. I have a funny story about The Dark Descent. So, it's called The Dark Descent, right? So you might expect it to have a lot to do with darkness and shadows, but one way you might not expect it to be so literally dark was I played it for the first time a few years ago, back after I got an OLED TV for the first time. If you don't know much about OLEDs, the kind of thrust of the technology that makes people really like it and like watching things on it is that instead of having like a backlight that is then colored and that's the way that the pictures are represented, instead like every individual diode on the TV screen can be turned on and off dynamically. And so what people will say is that like the blacks and the dark colors on the TV actually look a lot darker, and that's true because the TV can actually just shut off the light in a way that like an LED or a plasma TV or whatever is not able to do. So that's a long-winded way of saying that when I got Dark Descent, I still didn't understand like how much darker it made things, and so I didn't know how to calibrate the game properly, and so like everything in the first few areas of the game just looked like pitch black, and I was thinking, oh man, like it's impossible to navigate in this game. I guess that's just part of what makes it scary. It's like hard to get around or figure out what to do next. So I lost so many hours to just like not being able to get to the next area because I literally couldn't see what was in front of me or any of the objects to interact with or shit like that. Yeah, I think I accidentally became a TV snob because my ex, one of her brothers, is super into like the technical details of everything consumer-grade technology. So it was great. I was able to kind of like mooch off of his know-how without actually becoming a snob myself. So when the time came to get a new TV, I just asked him like, hey, what TV would you get if you were getting a new one? But I'll tell you, it's one of those things where, as much as I hadn't thought about it before, it's like it's turned me into a snob and it's impossible for me to go back now. I finally bit the bullet for my Switch, because, you know, I guess a couple of years ago at this point, they released the model of the Switch that has an OLED screen for the portable, and I hadn't upgraded for the longest time, even though my Switch is not in great shape, and I probably should have. But then, the special edition system that they did, decorated for Tears of the Kingdom, that finally pushed me over the edge, so I got a pre-ordering for that, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, the moral of the story is, and I think more recent games have gotten better at calibrating their brightness settings for this reason, but especially for older ones, like, do your homework on what the screen is actually supposed to be looking like before you spend a lot of hours on navigating the game itself, because you could be missing a lot of it.
I'm tired. Ready? Field barrier.
Yeah, The Handmaid's Tale, that's a dark show, literally and figuratively, I guess you could say. And then the other time I found a lot of other TV snobs like myself complaining about this was back in the later seasons of the Game of Thrones TV show, because there are some episodes, in particular one iconic battle, and I think the very last season, and like they shot it all at night, and that was, you know, like part of the gimmick of the episode, and they were trying to make it artsy or whatever, but it made it the case that even with my TV cranked up as bright as it could go, like I basically can't watch that episode on it because it just looks like a bunch of blobs, frankly. I was trying to think of a better word, but just dark blobs. Nondescript blobs, that's the word that I was looking for. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Not much of a specimen. Field barrier.
Rising mountain. Here we go.
So that's the weakness. Devastation. Cuteness.
I should have made a point to see that we had full items before we spent a lot of time grinding on enemies in the last main dungeon in the game. Oh, that's alright, we'll be fine. Yeah, I also, I didn't have a V2, like I got the original run of Switches, so between that and like my Joy-Cons, maybe 18 months ago got plagued with the drift that there's no way to fix, and I haven't been bothered to replace them or get them repaired by someone who can do that, so I figured it was time for me. And also, I mean, I really like playing the Switch in its portable configuration. Like, that's something I've grown to appreciate more over the last little while. And so I feel like maybe the increased quality of that screen might actually make a difference to me. Yeah, burn-in is, that's definitely a real concern for OLED screens, so I'd be surprised, though, if they didn't have settings to manage that in Tears of the Kingdom, given how long they've been working on it, but you never know.
I don't care for
I think I would say that if you're playing it for long enough without a break, you have to worry about that, then that's probably a sign you should take a break and go out and explore the real world in addition to the video game world. At least play a different video game, explore a different fiction. Diversify.
Goodbye, worthless enemies.
The real question, apparently, is whether I can remember the way to get out of this part of Darius Karlon and back to Olgaia. The labyrinth. This is literally just where I came from. Keep going back in a circle. Okay, it's gotta be this way, I think. Okay, yes. Always the last one I try. God damn it. Golden Helm? Oh, that's a good item. Once possessed by an ancient monarch.
I'm tired of this. Healing circle.
I do feel like even though much earlier in the stream I was complaining about the item descriptions not having a lot of lore, I will say that the items you tend to find in like the final areas or dungeons of the game all tend to be pretty cool and mythic and related to the history of the world in different ways. Like in Tales of the Abyss, in its last area, like you find a bunch of relics that were possessed by like heroes in the ancient war that kind of started the world. It has sort of a similar ancient war structure to Tales of Symphonia, actually. So it's nice to feel like you're excavating history in that way and using items that have a storied past.
50% output should be sufficient.
Ready for cuteness!
Feast! Healing circle!
I was just warming up.
When I was reading about the side quests, I actually remembered, I think, a cool way to tweak one of my favorite Lloyd skills. I think if we give him the Gem of Fire, I think that makes his attack fire-based, and that should give us an alternate version of a skill, one that I used quite a bit back in the day.
Don't let up! Rising
No! Oh, that's amazing. I guess that gem doesn't actually change the attribute to fire. I thought it did. Well, we can do it with this. Just to show you what I'm talking about. Oh, am I crazy? Maybe there's another condition on it. What I was trying to do was, I think there's a way, if you change the element of Void's attack and maybe do something else, that Rising Falcon turns into Rising Phoenix, which is cool. Like, Void's body gets surrounded by flame and he just swan dives into the enemy. But I clearly don't remember how to do it.
Here we go!
How can this happen?
That's another nuts thing about these games. Like, I mean, we've kind of just been playing through the battles as they're given to us, but you could easily do a whole week of streams just doing a clinic on all the different techs and the different ways in which you can build out characters, because for each character there are two different styles of arts that you can learn for them. One more technical, I think it's called, and the other more I forget if the keyword is physical or something else. But different styles that actually give you different abilities. And there are ways to get in the system so that you can unlock the best skills from each different branch and things like that. So there's a ton of complexity, but I think, as demonstrated by the stream, hopefully it's also a good example of a JRPG where that complexity is there if you want to explore it, but it's not a barrier to entry in terms of getting through the story. You don't have to master or invest a lot of time in the metagame in order to use the battle system sufficiently to beat all of the enemies in the main story, at least.
We have no choice but to fight.
Don't we all look nice in our different outfits? Although Lloyd is looking pretty bland. I'm gonna give him something else. Nobleman. Love it.
Not much of a specimen.
Steel barrier!
Love it when a combo goes off. Oh boy, not a good one of those in a while.
Function.
Rising Falcon!
Function.
Picked the wrong guy to mess with.
Can't tell if that last angel is saying dysfunction or cease function. I miss back when they were all just complaining about us being inferior beings, man. How could I lose to inferior beings? Okay, this is feeling familiar. Alright. So See, I knew it was going to be a pain to get back when I decided we would do all the other side quests before the final dungeon. But, I don't know. All those little scenes and adventures that we've been through over the past 2 streams are so fun. I think it was important to do those before the grind of a much more, I don't want to say generic, but a, let's say, less directly story-enhancing area. But it is one of the areas with some of the best music in the game, in my opinion. So we can enjoy that. Yeah, isn't it great? A classy uniform. Oh yeah. Look at that close-up. As close as we can get. It's also like, it's such a subtle variation on his typical outfit. Like it's the same kind of clothes, just in sort of a nicer color scheme, I think. Lots to love. Alright, I did not review the puzzle that's kind of the linchpin of this area beforehand because I wanted to feel it out with y'all on stream, so that means I will probably be confused as we rediscover what it is we even have to do. It is kind of famously not straightforward, but hey, we'll do it together and we'll get a lot of great experience on the way and hopefully put us in a position to challenge Abyssion again. We're getting good grade and experience. I'm a little worried about TP management though. I don't know why I did that with pineapple gels as opposed to orange gels, that was dumb. Yeah, we'll be fine. I just don't think this is the kind of place with vending machines, unfortunately. Ooh, also known as the Abandoned Shield. What an interesting name for something found in Niflheim. Trying to sweep through the dungeon methodically so we don't get lost, because as you can tell there are a lot of different entrances and exits. In memory of there being something in this room, but it might just be there's another room that looks like this. Awesome. Nothing like a perfectly ultimate healing item. Let me read the books if you give me bookshelves! And that's the second time Symphonia has let us down on that score. Oh, the books in Niflheim? Are you kidding me? What kind of deep secrets of Darius Carlon and Mythos' deep history would we learn? What a missed opportunity. I should really be fighting every single one of these angels. I just get too distracted by wanting to navigate the actual puzzle. Is anyone else getting vertigo, by the way, or is it just me? All this spinning around in the stairwell. You look like someone I want to fight, because you're just waiting Ooh, okay, some of the angels drop miracle gels. That might help us survive while we're grinding this. This might have been what I was thinking about in that other room. Passstone. Alright, that is, if I remember correctly, 1/2 of this puzzle. Where is it? Passstone. An illusionary stone tablet carved with events from the past. Interesting. If only we could read the events of the past. And we're outside. Ugh. What a cool and beautiful area. It reminds me a little bit, actually, in the outside architecture of Anor Londo from Dark Souls. I guess also whatever kingdom Melania is from in Elden Ring, if we want a more recent reference. But, I don't know if the name is escaping me. Oh, it's so annoying. So even though Persea and Colette both wear guards, only Colette can wear the elemental day. That's annoying. I think that's some of the best armor in the game.
Get ready.
Trying to beef up the main party for Abyssion. Well, I'm sure we'll find other goodies.
We won.
Ugh, a creepy looking statue that is. Amongst all the angels we have like a demon. Maybe a seraphim. My religious studies is wanting something scarier looking than a regular angel.
Enemies.
Here we go!
Oh, the murder.
Healing circle.
Don't forget, if you die while you're grinding, you die in real life.
All right.
Oh, I forgot actually, there are items that we should have equipped to members of the party because they increase the amount of experience earned. The fights harder, but
This is gonna be a peak.
keeps up the leveling up. Assuming you can survive, which we might not be able to.
Healing circle.
So Persea can't use any of her arts right now, and Lloyd can't use his arts, and he's also poisoned because of these seals that are equipped, but
You picked the
I
wrong guy to mess
think
with.
Lloyd is earning now double experience, and I think Persea is earning 150%. Worthy trade-off in a pinch. Ninja sword. Sword once held by a legendary ninja. Legendary female ninja. Beefing up Lloyd. That is something I can jam with. The one thing that is a missed opportunity with this version of the musical track decision that they're playing is in the version I think I mentioned that's on this soundtrack I got of the Tales games a few years ago. It's the same song, but they add this like choir layer to it. Just a group of voices that are like chanting the various intonations, and it makes it sound 10 times as epic. So, I encourage you to look it up afterwards if you need inspiration for completing any particular task or just going about your daily business.
How can this happen?
All right.
Well, we're starting to hemorrhage grade, but we are getting more experience, so I think it's a worthy trade-off for the moment. That angel had a word to say to us. He's not going to waste any time. Oh, I was saying just the musical track for navigating this area, which I believe is called Decision. There's a really great version of it that is not the one they're using in the game. That is the same song, but it includes like a choir element. Do I need to turn my mic up? Can you not hear me well? Better armor for Regal. The core team is getting beefed up. Okay, let me try... I know the best way to do it. Okay, how's that? Is that better? I can also turn the game down slightly, but I might be overcorrecting now. There, I turned the gain up and the game audio down. Does that sound any better? Okay, fair enough. Challenge accepted. Ah, we didn't have to wait very long.
Let's begin the research.
Okay, now I have to say very contrived things because I don't have anything actual to say right now, but I want us to be able to test the audio. Are we coming through any better?
Healing circle. Ready? Acuteness.
I keep wanting to use text. That is the annoying thing about these items.
Do not think ill of us.
I was worried I would overcorrect. Alright, let me turn the gain down a little bit. Okay, I kept the game audio a notch down, but now I've turned the gain down slightly, so let me know if we're heading in the right direction during the next combat. We'll nail it eventually. I feel like OBS is really bad at perfectly saving my settings. It's annoying, like I have to readjust everything before every single stream. Oh yeah, that's what I was trying... I said... I was saying turning the gain on the microphone down, not turning the game down. You might have heard me saying game. A slight phonetic difference, but a big noise difference. I know, does it still sound imbalanced now? Yeah. The two most similar sounding words in the English language. There's another stone, but I don't remember where it is.
We must be merciful.
Alright. I'm gonna do some filler voiceover text over this battle. You tell me if it's still imbalanced in favor of the mic, or if we're back at a good equilibrium now. Excellent! Nothing like some live troubleshooting. Cheers.
Healing circle.
Just as I expected.
Another EX gem. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. I don't think I've gotten disoriented yet. I think we want to go back to the bridge here. Okay, so we did both the spiral staircases. Now this is the right-hand side room. Let's clear out everything here next. Awesome. That one better go on Presea, or so help me God. Prism Guard! Alright, excellent. Resistant to all elements except darkness. That's great. I was reading that elemental resistance helps a lot against Abyssion, which makes sense because he mostly pummels you with elemental attacks.
One fight after another. Ready? Acuteness. Now die.
That wasn't good. Come on, Rain, heal us. Heal us faster. Oh, that was close.
Healing circle. What happened?
Just as I expected.
Well, the gang's not leveling up quite as quickly as I'd like, but that's okay. We've got time. This puzzle ain't solved yet. Hello? Can I help you? You looking for me? How are you? Come here often? Suspicious!
One fight after another.
Okay.
Help us out. Healing circle. What happened?
I tell you, it's good practice. I feel like half the people with whom I actually try to flirt with don't have souls. Ah! See what I did there?
Oh, over already?
Ugh. So far away. Jesus, now the real challenge is, can I remember how to get us to that particular balcony?
Let's begin the research. Ready? Acuteness. Are you okay?
do a quick save for good hygiene. Now let's go get that other special box. I keep going to avoid the enemies and then reminding myself, no, we actually want to have a higher level so we can stand a chance against that bastard in the Temple of Darkness. Oh, I forget, but if we have a blue sapphire, we should also have that equipped just so we're getting money also for rebuilding Luan. Yeah, okay. Not sure if that'll be enough to get the town fully rebuilt, but it won't hurt.
You picked the wrong guy to mess with.
It's gotta be up here, right? Not there.
Be careful, everyone. Help is on the way. Healing circle. What's happening? Healing circle. Field barrier.
You picked the wrong guy to mess with.
This one? No.
Healing circle. Are you okay? Healing circle.
Redemption still eludes me.
Those level ups are what we're doing it for. I think even if we can hit 75 with them, that'll be a healthy place for Abyssion. That might be a little too ambitious. Okay, so not this way, because this goes outside, right? Whence the different color. Yeah. There must be a different path to that balcony. Welcome to the puzzle box. Vinheim. Population, Mythos and us. Oh yeah, I remember. I think we actually accidentally ended up on that balcony the first time we came here. I think you have to get up to it from the left-hand side of Vinheim, so exactly the opposite of where we are now, of course. When in doubt, try to find it in the last place you would ever look for it.
This is gonna be a piece of
Field barrier. Final countdown. Healing circle. Ready? This happened.
All right.
This one, I think. Nope, one more. This one. Okay. Now we go over to the other side. McGill 34? Ah, is that the once and final McGill? The McGill to kill? McGill with looks to kill, I should say. How are you, buddy? I hope so too. Otherwise, I really came out swinging with a rando. Which I guess if there were a place to do it, it would be Twitch.
Healing circle.
Couldn't find anything better to do in Boston on a Friday night? You had to settle for watching your boy stream? Oh, the double level up. That makes these damn items worth it. Yeah, I can't wait to see you too. What do you think? Will we be able to talk you into joining the stream while you're out here? Could be fun.
I'm tired of this. Field barrier.
Oh no.
Healing circle.
Is that the Jake I think it is too? You guys double teaming my chat? I don't know if Smash is in keeping with the ethos of the stream. But I guess if you find a way to talk about the narrative of it while you are kicking my ass in it, we could gin something up. Hey, Jake. I wish I could promise you the same kind of great gameplay experience here as when you're crushing people in Apex Predator, but different strokes. The lore of Master Hand, I'm telling you. Could do a whole article or stream lecture just about that. It'd be really highbrow and play the campaign of Smash Bros. While talking about it.
All right.
The long and winding road that leads to the future stone. Which one was the Brawl campaign? I know that I've heard people talk about it as really memorable and iconic, but what's the conceit of it? This tablet has events from the future on it. This is really cool because, without giving anything away for Tales of the Abyss, a big part of that is sort of prophecy about events from the past and events from the future, and I totally forgot that there's this little allusion to sort of a similar mechanism at work very much in the background as opposed to the foreground of Tales of Symphonia. But in a totally optional and buried way. Subspace Emissary, yes, I remember. Well, I can imagine playing it in that frame of mind, or maybe lack of mind is more appropriate, would definitely leave an impression.
Healing circle.
I wish I had a memory like that. I feel like I was just too conked out from the combination of pain and painkillers after my wisdom teeth removal to be able to play anything. Now I feel robbed. I don't have any cool post-wisdom teeth game experience.
looks like it is over.
Oh yeah, that was like kind of weirdly dark and abstract for Smash, especially at the time. I feel like I remember that. Because you had to... Is that... Am I remembering right? Is that the one where, like, do you start out as Kirby and you have to basically, like, reclaim and purify the whole world? Or am I confusing campaigns? Crazy.
Do not think ill of us.
Pack another level under the belt, Regal. Going up. Come on, you already... We have the 2 stones, which I think was the prerequisite for doing this puzzle, so now I think we want to go back to the entranceway.
Enemies.
Are you okay?
Oh my god, I don't even remember that. Maybe I never finished it. I feel like I would remember the piranha guy keeping people in cages. Was that Petey Piranha or a different piranha plant? I feel like the piranha guy is such a more threatening name than Petey Piranha. Petey! That bastard. Where did he originally show up? Was he Sunshine? I know Bowser Jr. was Sunshine, but I'm trying to remember where I first encountered Petey as a kid. Yeah, I think Sunshine. That's right.
I'm tired of this.
Good luck, man. Better you than me. We gotta reignite the Dream Team for PAX at some point. Get me back sucking at a game that has nothing to do with JRPGs. The Pass Stone has activated a portal. And a block! I know you missed the block puzzles. Yeah, maybe that'll be what we do when you get here. We'll stream Apex. Or something very consistent with the Terrible Fates ethos. What can be seen in the past is anger that seeps out from the depths of darkness. It's like we're getting a whole other Leos, another layer to Mythos and his character. Again, only in totally optional content. What can char this frozen heart is this burning hatred, like the fires of hell. Bring down upon them the lightning of judgment. Background on Mythos, but also I have this sinking feeling that this is one of those poems like what we encountered in the Temple of Wind, I want to say, where it's also a code to navigate the next puzzle, so we'll see how that goes. Yep, colored blocks. Oh boy. Love me some color-coded puzzles with word puzzles. And there are 2 halves to it. No, we'll be fine. We're grown-ups. This can't stop us. future be one of a bountiful earth caressed by the blessing of the wind. It would be one of swirling, terrible water that washes away all on its path. Okay, so earth is probably like a brown block, right? And water is surely the blue block. Ray of light, maybe yellow? Doesn't look that hard. Maybe green, purple, white? Well, let's go through the portals first and see what's on the other side. No, if we can. Maybe we can't. It said bountiful earth, right? Yeah, okay. Bountiful earth seems green, you know, verdant fields and such. Let's try that. If I can line it up properly. Can we push it at all? Oh, no, I'm still totally misreading where the actual bridge is. Nope. That was not the right one. Okay, well, but it's just a color puzzle. I mean, this is not as hard as I feared it might be. Maybe if I start with this one. Anger seeps out from the depths of darkness, so I guess that's like a black block. Frozen heart. Burning hatred like the fires of hell. Lightning of judgment. Okay. That seems like a black block, or else a very dark one. Let's try that. Man, the most viewers I've gotten in a while, and here I am doing a block puzzle. I'm sorry, gang. This is what a lot of the post-game looks like for these games. And ironically, this is what it looks like to find some of the best items and equipment and junk in these games. Burning hatred like the fires of hell. Okay, I'm gonna guess the next one refers to the fires of hell as opposed to the frozen heart. So let's see if red is our ticket. Ugh! Damn it. Nothing like a warp and a sound effect to really make you feel like you failed. Well, if it's talking about a frozen heart, this light blue kind of reminds me of ice. See, it would be easier just to look up the guide. Where's the fun in that? We're gonna figure it out by brute force trial and error. If anyone else is a better color theorist than I am in terms of interpreting these poems, feel free to shout it out too, because I clearly do not have a great batting average. Frozen heart, burning hatred. We tried this. Geez, I guess I'll try this. This doesn't really feel like the right color to me. Oh man, I forgot to plug in my computer again too, so after we try this, I will have to excuse myself for a moment so we don't suddenly crap out. Hey, alright, well, your guess is as good as mine as to why that was the right block, but we got it. Well, maybe, okay, so if that was what they meant to represent frozen, I can see it's bluish, so then maybe the next one will be the fire, because it looks like there's 4 total, because we have to put one in that indentation on the right-hand side also. So I'll try the red one next. But first, plug it in that computer. Bear with me.